Hello and welcome. I'm Keith Hitchman and this is Faith Matters, the programme where we look at Liverpool and Merseyside life through the prism of faith and belief. And our guests in the studio today are Tom Grant from Eden, Merseyside, and Allan Finnegan from Emmanuel Baptist Church in Netherton. Welcome, guys. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, Tom, what is Eden, Merseyside? What's the history and what do you do?
Yeah, so the Eden Network is a Christian youth and community organisation that moves teams of Christian people into deprived communities to see transformation through sharing their faith and through doing good works in the community. So it's been going for around 15 years, and it started out of an organisation called The Message, which is based in Manchester. Yeah. And this organisation were sharing their faith in large-scale mission events, seeing young people come to faith. But at the end of the week of events, everyone would leave the community they'd been working in, and they were leaving young people behind who maybe had some faith or who needed further support. And so out of this need, this idea for Eden was born, and then they started planting teams in Manchester around 15 years ago.
What parts of Manchester?
Withenshaw, Openshaw, so places like that. I think they've had around 15 teams based around the Manchester
and
area.
Other parts of the country as well?
Yeah. And so from Manchester, it's gone spread down to London, also further north, and now in Merseyside, so the first team being in Netherton, which is where I'm based.
And you're obviously not from these parts.
No,
you're not from Manchester.
I'm not local.
Where have you come from?
So I'm from Hampshire, southeast of England, and me and my wife moved up to Netherton around a year and a half ago to begin heading up the team in Netherton.
And how many people have you got on the team with you?
So the team started as 6 people, but it's grown. Now we've had an intern with us from the local community over the last year, and now another girl has moved over from the Southport area just recently. So she moved into a house in the community just a couple of weeks ago. So there's 8 of us now, but growing and hoping to continue to grow.
Okay, so the idea is you move into the community, so
Yep.
you become part of the community. You're living
Yep.
in the community.
Yep.
And so what kind of things are you doing?
It looks different for every Eden team. There's no like one set formula where we say we're going to get involved in this. This is what will work, and this is the best way. What we really do is just as we move into the community, it's just there's no pressure to do things overnight or to do any great work straight away, but just to settle, to get to know the people, to get to see the needs, to see what is already happening in the community. There's plenty of good things already happening in the community where we're based.
And so you're kind of supporting those.
Yeah. And we had a real vision when we moved there that we sensed, as we were praying, that God was doing stuff in that community already. We felt that God was there, that he was at work, and we felt that our remit really was to just come and join in with what he's doing there.
Yeah. Okay, great. Allan, you're a Baptist minister in Netherton, Emmanuel Netherton, and you were telling me earlier that you were a member of that church and then you became the minister, which is quite unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, it is quite unusual. Yeah, I've been in the church for 32 years. I know I don't look old enough, but I am. It's an easy life being a minister.
It hasn't aged you, has it?
No. So I've been a minister for getting on to 10 years nearly, and that part of that was is kind of linked into the Eden story in some way, because trying to get a minister to move into Netherton was very difficult, if not impossible.
Why is that? Without kind of,
I guess it's not a pristine job. I guess it's not a nice leafy suburb to live in, or it's 3 council estates around our church, and it's a great place. Don't get me wrong, I think it's amazing, but it's not a career path, if you get what I'm saying. You don't do this as a career path type stuff. You don't move to Netherton for that. So.
Yeah. Okay, and how did you get involved with Eden?
It was almost by chance, just talking to somebody, and they said, "Oh, you'd really love your church would benefit from an Eden team." And I said, yeah. And then they just put me on the phone to the fella who was running it.
Well, they literally gave you the
phone? They literally rang him up and just gave me the phone. And I spoke to him, and I had 4 conversations with him in 4 years. And it was like he just put the phone down. you know, and he'd ring me a year later as if he'd just put it down again, and he'd kick off from where it was, and then next minute we had an Eden team. It was quite bizarre.
And what difference has it made to your church life and your outreach in the community?
I think as a church we were already doing stuff. We're under-resourced, just the type of area it is, you know what I mean, of people and money and all that type of stuff. But we were already doing stuff. We were already doing bits of youth work, but some of that had ebbed a little bit. And bringing the Eden team in, who were purposeful and long-term rather than just short fix, you know, quick couple of week mission type thing. But 5-year commitment Tom has to make to this. And it kick-started some of that youth work that we'd done. The Eden intern that he's talking about was a lad who was in our youth clubs originally and stuff like that, you know. And so it brought well, 8 people now, 7 people of younger age with loads of kids. They've all got loads of kids, typical Christians. And it brought them in, so that dynamic brings a little bit of new life to stuff, you know. Some of our people have got probably a little bit tired doing stuff, you know, because it's tough
So
work.
it's bringing energy in a way.
Energy, that's a good way of explaining
Okay,
it.
no, what I like is on this show is stories, and it was what our viewers like as well, is a good story. Tell us some stories about, you know, your encounters with people, or, you know, stories from the estates, stories from Netherton, good news stories, because we know that the media pick up on areas like Netherton and just print the bad news and don't tell the what good news can you tell us about Netherton? Obviously you said it's a great place to live.
I think it is really good. It's real. What I love about it is that you get real people. They're not phony with you. They tell you exactly what they think, whether you want it or not. And there's in faith, that's really good, because they don't mess you about. They don't try and, you know, out clever you and all that type of stuff. They talk to you about their real life and their real issues. And we've had numerous people come through our church, and most of them, unfortunately, kind of get their lives together and move on, you know, do the typical upscaling of their life. But we've had people. We've got a person now who ends up working in Parliament.
Really?
Yeah. He ends up advising MPs on matters of faith. But he was in our church.
Incredible.
I won't tell you his name, but he came into our church basically as a drug addict. And Jesus turned his life around, and he's ended up working in Parliament and stuff like that.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, it was a massive story, that, you know. He went to the same school as me, left with nothing. He's now a doctor. He's a PhD in political theory and stuff like that. So that was his job. Yeah.
Amazing. And
Well,
you know, what's happened to you? What people have you met?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about our intern, Jake, who, like Allan mentioned before, he came to church when he was younger through a kids club and came to faith. He, you know, he told a story. You know, he tells a story well where he came in and he had a problem with his knee. One of the people prayed with him, and he just describes it as pain instantly left him, and so he thought there must be something to this God thing. So he started coming along to church, all his family come along with him, you know, just to support him. Not some of them, you know, no belief there at the time. And so it was probably about, you know, a year ago that he'd been working as a football coach, just left school, and he'd had some, he just out of the blue completely had some mental health issues, and was suddenly not able to go to work, lost his job. And this was just as the Eden team was coming along, and we've been able to get alongside him and spend some time with him. And it's amazing to see how just so quickly there's a recovery that's taken place, that now he's joined the team, but he's also helping with the youth clubs. He's sharing his faith with the young people there, and just going great guns. And, you know, you really saw when it was just like a stop in his life when these episodes happened, and he thought, you know, he's suddenly at home, he lost his job, nothing happening. It's just been amazing to see how his life's completely turned around. Now he's got a passion for the young people on the estate. He is volunteering at different youth clubs that we do, and each week just making a massive difference to where he lives. So to see his life turned around in that way has just been a joy.
That's great.
Great
Stories.
He's just won an Urban Hero Award, one of the message things.
So the organisation we work, you know, we're part of the Message. Each year they celebrate stories of young people who have maybe gone through some difficult times but turned it around or seen God at work in their lives. And so that's been really good to see that they've picked him to for an award.
And they give awards to these young people.
Yeah, they give awards to these young people, and so it'll be a big do, and he'll go over there, and his story will be told. But it's just for me, moving to Netherton, and when we came here, we're passionate to make a difference in whatever way we can. And I often think, even with what we've seen in Jake's life already, if I move to Netherton just for whatever little amount of help we've been able to give Jake, that's 100% worthwhile for me.
Kind of job done.
Yeah, that's
not job complete, but
the rest of anything now is a bonus.
Yeah,
but that's what that's just such a joy.
Talking of awards, Andy Hawthorne, who was the founder of it, didn't he get an OBE or something?
Yes, he has. Yeah. So it's amazing to see him honoured for like.
I mean, I knew him a bit when he was younger, and you know, I almost found that hard to imagine. But great all the same.
Yeah, no, incredible.
Yeah.
The only thing wrong with the award is it's in Old Trafford football ground, so I won't be able to go.
Yeah.
In Old Trafford. Yeah. You go there? You're going?
I can't. I'd have to vandalise it, and that wouldn't be allowed. I'd get struck off from being a minister if I did that.
Yeah, it just wouldn't be good. Would it?
No, wouldn't be good at all.
Okay, well, we're going to go now to our commercial break, and then when we come back, we got some questions around the election. Actually,
Okay.
I'll ask you a couple of questions.
Brilliant. Alan can answer those.
And we want Alan to answer those.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to ask you, Tom. Okay, we're going to our commercial break now. See you in a few moments. Welcome back to Faith Matters and to our guests, Tom and Alan from Eden Merseyside and Emmanuel Netherton. Actually, before we start, just to say, we like people to offer their comments and suggestions for Faith Matters, and you can contact us. You can email us at faithmatters@baytvliverpool.com. That's faithmatters@baytvliverpool.com. Okay, Alan, are you red or blue?
I'm a red, yeah.
You're a red,
Yeah.
which explains the Old Trafford thing, really.
It does, yeah.
Okay, so moving swiftly on, we've got an election coming up,
Apparently so.
and I'm sure you've heard that.
Yeah.
And
It's been on the news a little bit, hasn't it?
in a week or so's time, and the focus is on, some of the focus at least is on areas of deprivation, people who are having a hard time, poverty, food banks, all that kind of thing. I'm just going to ask you a simple question, really. How would Jesus vote?
How would Jesus vote, Alan?
Would Jesus vote?
Well, is a
good question
to
ask.
Would Jesus vote?
I
Or
don't
would
know.
he be like Russell Brand
I don't know.
and
He
say
might.
don't vote?
He
He's got the
might.
same hairstyle as Russell
I mean,
Brand.
in some ways, you've got to engage with politics. It's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to engage and have your vote. People fought for this type of stuff and to get it. But on another grade, you can understand why people don't vote, because it feels as if, what's the point at times? They come along to this time of the year and tell you what you want to hear, and then expect us to forget the last 4.5 years or so, and think, oh yeah, he's promising this now. And they're all the same. I'm not picking on any party in that. They'll all promise the world and deliver little. So I can understand why people do disengage. So I don't know whether Jesus would have been a bit more political about that and a bit more, non-engaging. I don't know really. I've not really thought it through.
Question
It is a
to
hard
answer.
question, yeah.
But what would he say? And indeed, what would you say, both of you, really, to if you were to have the 3 or 5 party leaders, 6, 7 in front of you? What would you say to them about Netherton and the issues that are confronting people in Netherton? What do the politicians, both nationally and locally, need to do to improve the kind of lot of the people who live in your area who are struggling?
I think I'll take this one, eh?
Yeah, you go for that, mate.
I
Nice, easy
think
one.
what you seem to get in Netherton is people don't want to live there. They want to move out, if you understand what I mean. And I link that into an exile of kind of an exile theology type of stuff, where people are taken out of situations, maybe economically, because they need to go and find work, and they move on, and you kind of get a left behind type of stuff. And
So they're kind of like social migrants in a
yeah,
way.
type of
economic migrants.
yeah, but you get people left behind in a sense, I think, who
can't get out.
who can't get out, yeah, and they want to get out. Some of them don't. So, you know, as I've said, I think it's all right. I like it. It's nice and green and all that type of stuff. It's pretty good. But you get people left behind, and they use the term in politics of underclass, which is really a terrible term to use. It's offensive, yeah, it is. And so, but the trouble we've got is if they vote Labour there, and it's like it's always going to be Labour. Do you get what I mean? And so, in some ways, Labour can take the foot off the gas as well because of that, because they don't have to prove themselves again. They're going to get voted in and voted in and voted in, and they have been for generations, and they probably will be for generations. And I know some of the councillors and stuff, and they do care about the place, so I'm not slagging them off, if you get what I mean. But I just think.
And do any of them actually live there?
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, they do live there. A lot of them live in the local area. Yeah, the councillors, don't they?
And we've had, when we've engaged with the council and councillors, we've found them to be people who, genuinely care about the community that we live in, and people who have supported things that we've got involved in, and financially, even with the work that we've done with the young people. So we have found them to be sympathetic and caring. Yeah. But I think there is definitely pockets in Netherton where, homes where it is surprising the way that some people are living, and it's scary in some ways when we think that there's a certain standard of living across the UK, and that
people are way below it.
And there are some people who are forgotten
we've had people
in Netherton
coming to our drop-in. We had a fellow who used to run the drop-in for us, and they'd have housing issues and could never get anything done. As soon as he rang up and said it's the Reverend blah blah blah, and it wasn't me. Okay, instantly they get something done. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, so people are just left in with no windows in their house because they've been smashed, and they're for months left, just because of where they are in a social class type stuff.
And so you're talking about they've been disempowered, haven't they?
Absolutely disempowered.
They need to be kind of re-empowered.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? How does you talked about how the church. This is what you're doing really. But what can the church do in a local community? What
I think, as a Christian, a belief that everyone's made in the image of God, that everyone has value, that everyone's of importance, even if we don't value ourselves. That God values us, that we're made in His image, that we're loved by Him, that every person counts. No one's forgotten in the kingdom of God. So I think that's the message that we carry, and an element that there's always hope. There's always hope. Nothing's too far gone, or no one's life's too messed up, that there's always an ability for God to come to bring light to a situation and redemption. So,
and when you receive that message, it does change you, it does lift you, doesn't it? And I was thinking as you were talking there of the Methodist revivals, going back to the 18th century, you saw that the country change, and the result was that the laws changed. It can be argued that the trade union movement came out of that revival, and later the Labour movement came out of the trade union movement. People. You were saying to me earlier, Allan, that you literally learnt to read properly by reading the Bible. Is that right?
Yeah, I was joking before saying the last book I read in school was Flippy the Frog. It possibly was, which is like, I'm Flippy the Frog, I live in a bog, I go hop hop and I never stop, the end,
I've not read that.
It's a classic, I've got to be honest. It's up there with King Lear, War and Peace, I think, by becoming a Christian at 16 and taking faith seriously, I started reading the Bible because I just didn't read until that point, really. I could read it a little bit, obviously, but I think I taught myself to read by reading the Bible, yeah. Amazing.
Okay, so what are the key issues in Netherton, and are they particular to Netherton, these issues, or would you say they're common to areas across Merseyside and possibly across the country? What are the key issues? What are the key issues with young people, Tom?
Well, I think some of the young people we're working with, it feels like there's no expectation for their lives. They're in certain families and areas in Netherton, there are generations where people don't have jobs, where people are
Never worked.
are unemployed. There's no expectation for them to get a job, and so I think we're seeing young people who don't have that sense of hope or dreams for their future or any
You
expectation.
don't even know what opportunities are.
No, I don't think so. And so I think that's and that you can see that's generational as well. So that's come from their parents before them not feeling like they had opportunities or a chance at life really. So I think that's a big thing to deal with in people's minds, that perception and lack of a sense of opportunity really in their lives. So I'd say that's one of the bigger issues that we're
Have you
working
got
with.
gang issues there? Youth gang type issues?
Yeah. We have a youth club on a Thursday night, and it's an interesting time.
And do you get out on the street and engage with people out on the street?
So it's been amazing actually getting to know some of the young people. When we first arrived in Netherton, we didn't want to, if there were youth clubs already happening, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel if there were people doing good stuff. But for that age bracket, there really was, we were told that no one was working with those people, and if we tried, we wouldn't want to be working with that group of young people. And so it has been lively and been fun at times. But I think the place we've come to now is we've built some relationship with these young people, and ultimately we care about them. We love them now, and even when they're playing up, it feels like they're part of our family in a sense. So it's heartbreaking when we see them go through difficulties when they struggle, and so our hope is that we'll be able to make some difference in their lives. And I think that that comes if that had to be overnight. I don't think it happens overnight, but that's why I love what Eden do. I love the way they work, is that they're committing to a place long term, and we're not there just overnight.
Okay, well, we come to the end of our time, and you've got so much more to say. Maybe we'll get you back and in a year's time or something, and have a recap. Great to see you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks to our viewers for watching. I think you can go online and easily find Eden Merseyside, and see you for the next episode of Faith Matters.